Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today. We're very excited to have everybody on board. Before we begin, just some general housekeeping. So our friends at Commonwealth are going to be navigating through the presentation for us. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please utilize the chat and the Q&A. They'll be monitored throughout the presentation. So we're happy to do that. We're also happy to engage afterwards in one-on-ones and set up a time if you do have any more in-depth questions and concerns. We're very excited about this webinar. It's been a long time coming, and our partners at Commonwealth are going to do an amazing presentation today. For those of you who have been with me or been with us at IDC WIN Workplace Solutions or have attended any of our webinars, you know that our team is dedicated to the concept of humanizing benefits and making sure that our advisors are equipped with the right tools and resources for their clients, and as well as putting us in more of a consulting type role. When we talk about humanizing benefits, we're not only talking about the group benefit portion of the plan, but what we're talking about today is the group retirement and savings plans. And that is key in terms of our whole health benefits approach. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on today in terms of our agenda. The group retirement and savings opportunity for you as the advisor. I'm going to do a little bit of intro to our amazing team member, Vanessa, because she is vital in terms of getting these plans up and running as part of our team. We're going to do an IDC WIN and Commonwealth Your Group Retirement and Solutions. So that's when Connor's going to jump in and take it from there. And then, of course, we're going to do getting started on building your group retirement business. So with that, let's go. Thank you. So as I mentioned previously, at IDC Workplace Solutions, we are passionate about that tagline, humanizing benefits. So it's not just about, does the employer of your organization have a group benefits program? Are they attracting and retaining the staff that they need? Are they getting the talent that they need through their benefit package? But a vital part of the whole health benefits approach is making sure that you also have a retirement plan put in place for your employees, because when we talk about whole health benefits solutions, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about financial health, and we're talking about the physical aspects of health. And money is a key driver in people's stress levels, in prepping for the future, whether you're an employee who might be looking to, buy a home, whether you're an employee who's, an empty nester and now needing to save for a retirement. Maybe you're an employee who's got, 2 kids and university is now your main objective. Money is always a stress, and making sure you're properly protected and that your employees are properly protected are key. So there are 3 areas that we want to highlight in that when we talk about retirement savings, retention and attraction, and those are the ones that you see listed here. The emotional aspect, the physical aspect, and of course, the financial aspect, which is why we're here today. So there you go. So what does it mean for you as an advisor, for the advisors that are currently on the line or maybe have engaged us in a conversation? This is a huge market to tap into. It's growing. It's a $2 trillion market. It's small and medium-sized businesses that might be currently underserved or ignored in that market space. So as an advisor, if you're going in and doing some benefits, consulting with them, retirement savings plans are going to be part of that conversation, making sure that your clients are protected and that you're building a nice warm blanket around them and their employees. It builds repeatable compounding value. There could be or not sticky long renewal cycles, things like that, and it increases the value of your practice, what you are giving as an advisor, not only from individual wellness or individual financial advice, to the group benefits piece, but now adding in another piece into your sales cycle to protect those employees, to protect that employer, and to establish your own credibility as an advisor is going to build your block and give you that credibility as a sound advisor. So, some important stats that you might want to take into consideration when you're listening to the presentation, because I'm about to hand this over in a minute. But why is this important for you as an advisor? To create a huge value for the client, deepen your client relationships, get in there. You may even have the opportunity when you're doing benefits and the retirement piece, which is vital. You might be able to get in there on the individual side as well. We've talked about that in previous webinars, to upsell or cross-sell to those existing clients, and to also serve a very niche market, and one that isn't properly taken care of, is serve your clients post-termination, right? Want to make sure that you keep, if an employee is leaving, that you have your hands in there, that you get in there with your sticky fingers and make sure that they become a long-term client as well. So with that, I'm about to hand it over for two pieces. Firstly, I am so honored and so thrilled to have on our team Vanessa Menendez Rivera. She has at least 10 or 12 years experience on the group retirement side, a wealth of knowledge. If you've met with her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're looking to get started, she will be your point of contact when it comes to all things retirement. She's part of our team. We stole her, so to speak, and we're so thrilled that she came on board. She did an amazing job with some of our clients, and so we're so eager to have her here being part of our webinar today. And she will be your point of contact moving forward when it comes to the retirement side. We are going to have a short video from David Emmanuel. He's our head of workplace solutions. He is out of town today, but he's very excited, very passionate about our partnership with Commonwealth. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over and let him do the intro. And then Connor, we're going to hand it off to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Some of you it's the morning, some of you it's the afternoon. Welcome. I'm David Emmanuel. I'm the Vice President, Head of Workplace Solutions at IDC WIN. Over the last few years, as we've deployed workplace solutions at IDC WIN, I've had the distinct pleasure of being able to introduce some exciting new products. Today is one of those days. Commonwealth is a program and offering that promises to revolutionize the group's savings space. Many of you know that the messaging we deliver at IDC WIN, the theme that we follow, is that things are not the same as they used to be. The group insurance industry was created in 1919 in a time when the workforce was very different to what it is today. And the products that we deliver to this day are still very much rooted in that time. But we're traversing an inflection point that we're all aware of, where technology is enabling variety, variation, efficiency, and an effective mechanism of communicating with people and offering them solutions that we've never done before. It may be ironic that technology enables us to be more effective as people and to maximize the human interaction that is so much part of the business that we are in. The beauty of Commonwealth is the marrying of an outstanding technology platform that creates efficiency for advisors, plan administrators, and employees, at the same time that it brings along with it a team of people that are committed to the best of outcomes and the best of experience for their customers. Part of what I've seen with Commonwealth is that they share with us at IDC WIN Workplace a deep commitment to our advisors' success. Partnering with Commonwealth means unlocking the ability to build a thriving retirement benefits practice in a more efficient way, significantly reducing low-value administrative tasks, i.e. reducing your costs, and increasing high-value client touchpoints. I am certain that you'll be as enthused with what you're going to see today, and as you get to know the folks at Commonwealth, you'll be as captivated by an outstanding level of service and a commitment to success that we have. Please enjoy the webinar today.
Awesome. I guess it's over to me, Marni. Thank you, Marni. Thank you, David. And thank you, everybody, for having us here. We're really excited to be connecting with the IDC network and the great group of advisors that's here. We really enjoyed working with Vanessa and Marni and David and the team so far. We're really excited to highlight the solution for the group and broaden it out to more folks in the IDC network. So Nobahar and I are here from Commonwealth. Marni did a great job of highlighting the opportunity for advisors to grow a great group retirement business, some of the value there for clients, for your own book, for revenue and things like that. Nobahar and I are here to show you how that can be done easily through Commonwealth and our partnership with IDC. So we're going to give you a bit of a tour of what we do, how we're a bit different, how we work with IDC to help you build that great group retirement or GRS practice. Let's get into it. In some ways, we're here to help solve two problems with what you might call the old way of doing group retirement. And some of the reasons why a lot of advisors have traditionally missed some of that opportunity to do work in this space. David in his video highlighted one of the main ones, which is this is a space that has had a problem with old and legacy technology. If you look at the traditional players in the space, it's large old insurance companies. And those providers have traditionally struggled to modernize, to innovate, to make things easier for clients, for advisors, and for plan sponsors. And the second missed opportunity is helping advisors create a true plan for life for members. So one of the things you're going to see in the Commonwealth platform is we really try and use technology and use retirement thinking and planning allied with action to give a plan member or an individual something they can use for their full life cycle, and something that helps an advisor actually engage with them and keep them part of your universe to keep serving them, not only while they're working, but through switching jobs into retirement and beyond as they start to use those savings to support their lifestyle. David also mentioned the shared commitment between IDC and Commonwealth towards advisor success. So we work primarily with advisors. We really believe that the recipe for solving those two problems with the old way of doing group retirement is to ally great technology, which is what we aim to provide, along with service, and link that with the trusted relationship and insights that advisors that you have with your clients to deliver a great solution. The core of our value proposition, and David touched on a lot of this maybe more succinctly than I will, but we basically want to help you do three key things in partnership with Vanessa and the IDC team. The first is grow value for plan members and your plan sponsor clients with things like better features, better service, and cost savings. The second thing we want to do is help you build that lifelong relationship with your clients at scale. And then the third thing, which really speaks to the efficiency point that David made, a lot of our partners are advisors who work on multiple product lines, who might focus on benefits or focus on wealth. Very busy people doing very many things. We want to help save you time and avoid you spending that time on low value administrative work and service issues like you might have experienced with some of the legacy providers in the space. What does that look like? So Nobahar is going to show us a demo of the Commonwealth platform to give you a flavor of how this comes together on the technology side. But it's things like moving from paper to platform. So one of the things you'll see with us is you're not going to see paper. You're not going to see that legacy sponsor and member onboarding experience that's clunky, that's hard to use. You're going to see a fully digital, easy to use platform for members, for admins and plan sponsors, and also for advisors. And Nobahar is going to show us a bit of what that looks like. It also means streamlined investing. So we're big believers in the value of simplicity. And if you look at the evidence behind successful retirement plans and large institutional retirement plans, you'll see that the approach is less of a huge menu of funds, letting members pick from over 200 different options. The emphasis with us is really on a streamlined, curated portfolio focused on life path target date funds, which some of you may be familiar with, really a gold standard approach in investment for retirement plans and creating a curated experience with members. And we do that in partnership with BlackRock, who's the current provider on our platform, who we'll probably talk more about. It also means a move towards the dedicated support, onboarding, and admin. So this is an area where it's hard for us to demo this for you and show you something like we're going to show in the platform in a second. It's not related so much to something you can see and touch and feel right today, but it's something that a lot of our partners, when they build their relationships with us, and our folks at IDC we've worked with so far, I think would agree with this, the service component is essential. We don't want to have you waiting months to hear back from someone about a payroll issue with a client, or have your members and plan sponsors sitting on a 1-800 number trying to get support. So we want to move away from what we see happening in the space with offshored support, siloed account and service teams. And what you're going to get with Commonwealth is a dedicated team implementing with every client, a huge focus on service. And part of the reason we can do that is by working with modern technology, not working with those legacy systems, we can reinvest our effort in providing that really outstanding high-touch service at the moments that matter for your clients and your members. Part of what we're trying to do as well, it's very important, is simplify pricing and give you a great value fee for your clients. So we have a base all-in fee for plan members of 1.35% on assets. And that's a price for plan members that doesn't have any kind of minimum for headcount or cash flow, and is inclusive of advisor compensation. And so just for point of reference, this is significantly lower than what you'll see from the insurance carriers, especially for mid-size or smaller groups. Folks would say 10 or 20 or 50 or a couple hundred employees, where you're typically looking at something more like 1.7, 1.8% with the insurance carriers. So significant fee savings on the small group side. And the other thing that I'll mention, we work with Vanessa and the IDC team very closely on this, is we're happy to provide on-demand quotes if you have larger clients with higher cash flow or assets. So if you have a plan with 100 or more employees, up to thousands, or we have plan sponsors in that range, feel free to come to Vanessa and to us to get a custom quote for a client. And as I mentioned, that pricing for a plan, that 1.35% that we just showed you, that's inclusive of advisor compensation. We have two standard models for advisor comp. You can see them here. One of them is more assets oriented, which is 30 basis points on assets and 1% on transfers. The second option has a bit more of a cash flow component, typically attractive for a startup or a virgin plan. So this is compensation that's baked into that fee we showed you. This compensation continues when a member leaves. They stay part of your advisor continuing plan with us. And one of the things that's unique about us is we're not going to raise the fee on the member once they terminate or leave that group arrangement. They're going to keep that low fee post the workplace plan into retirement or any post-termination phase for them. One point that maybe I'll make here quickly, because it's often a question we get if we just go back to that page, Bahar, is around licensing or requirements around that. So one point I'll make is that you do not need to be MFDA or mutual fund licensed to work with us. And if you are mutual fund licensed or MFDA licensed, this does not engage that licensing. So there aren't requirements there. This is a cap arrangement, and it follows cap compliance. So you don't need to have a mutual fund license to sell this or to work with this. And it doesn't engage your licensing if you do choose to work with us. What does that revenue profile look like? This relates a little bit to the opportunity that Marni was highlighting at the top of the presentation. One point that advisors who work a lot in the group retirement space know very well is group retirement is all about creating steady, compounding, sticky revenue over time. So it's a little different than employee benefits or insurance or even wealth. The emphasis is really not on that first quarter or first month of revenue, but gradually building up assets over time and building up service for that client that results in a really powerful ongoing stream of revenue for your business. So just to illustrate that point, if you are able to put in place 5 small or medium-sized business plans per year, and by that I mean a plan with 25 people roughly, and startups, so no existing assets, just a new plan for a business that didn't have one before, over time, that can result in some really interesting revenue for your business. And if you do the math on this using some basic assumptions for standard salary size and using those compensation models I showed you on the previous page, you're looking at around $40,000 in revenue per year after 5 years. So that will ramp up gradually, but the point here is if you just focus on placing a plan with clients who need one, who could use the help, who want that support on those 3 areas Marni mentioned, that can result in some really powerful revenue that is just consistently growing over time. Because it's based on assets, it's also compounding and grows as those assets grow. Before we get into just showing you the platform, last thing maybe to mention is around that theme of making it easy for you to get started, we're going to close with some very concrete next steps you can take to get rolling if you have clients you think might be interested in group retirement. We really focus on making this easy with you. Vanessa and our team focus on streamlining that onboarding and implementation. We'll support the sales side as well, which we're going to talk about. But the onboarding flow for a new client for us looks something like what you're seeing on this page. It's a very tight, roughly 4-week process from signed agreements through to an education session for employees, and then that first payroll run tied to an employer's payroll system. This is something that is not meant to be a lot of work for your client. It's not a lot of work for you. Supported by Vanessa and our team to make it very easy for you to get started and get those plans in place. And now I'm going to pass it over to Novahar to show you what that plan for life and that digital experience can look like for members, just to illustrate how technology can play in here.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. And thanks everyone for joining us today. We're really excited to join IDC and speak to all of you folks this afternoon. You've heard a little bit from Connor and Marni and even David about what makes the Commonwealth solution different, but what better way to show you than to actually walk you through the member enrollment experience. Specifically, we like to showcase the member experience because it does a great job of showing the tech at work and just how intuitive the platform is, showing things like how it's a true plan for life, the streamlined investment options, and much, much more, which we will get into. So to set the context, the employee enrollment experience takes around 8 to 10 minutes. Most members will complete it on their own really easily. It's a fully digital experience for them, so no paperwork involved. Throughout this 8 to 10 minute process, we're going to be answering some key questions for them that most of us have on our mind when we're thinking about our true retirement plan for life. So these are questions like, how much do I need on a monthly basis to fund my lifestyle and retirement? How much should I actually be saving today in order to achieve that goal, factoring in things like taxes and government benefits? And then, of course, the growth piece. So how do I grow my savings in a way that's risk appropriate for me and takes into consideration my goals? So those are the kind of 3 questions the platform is designed around. By the end of this 8 to 10 minute enrollment flow, all members have personalized answers to these questions, giving them a true retirement plan for life. So right off the bat, we're going to ask for the member's age, the age that they're planning on retiring at, and their annual income before tax. So let's assume I'm signing up for this plan and I'm earning $70K today. If we scroll down, you can see this section called Your Projected Retirement Income. So basically, we're giving the member an idea of how much retirement income they can expect to need once they do retire. And this is based off of evidence-based assumptions from third-party sources like the Financial Planning Standards Council, is completely customized to the member. So it's adjusting the assumptions in the back end for modest earners as well as high income earners. And this is based off of a replacement ratio that you can see here. So right now, this is a big empty block. We know that we need $4,100. How are we going to get there? That's kind of the question we're going to answer in the next few steps. Now, something that we know is that most Canadians have fragmented savings. So this looks like having an existing RRSP from a previous employer, having a TFSA at the bank. Something that we do a little bit different is asking members to input that information so that we can take it into consideration when creating their retirement plan. So let's assume that I have been saving away for my retirement and I have $20K in my RRSP and the same amount in a TFSA. Now, this is going to do 2 things. First, it's taking these dollar amounts and converting them into a monthly post-retirement income. So we can see that my existing savings are going to comprise $300 out of that target retirement income of $4,100. Now, another really interesting thing that's doing is it's gathering that information for you as the advisor. So you know that this member has $40K in savings outside of this plan. So that presents some really interesting opportunities for you to talk to the member, talk to them about the impact of low fees, and help them transfer in. And this is something that, as at Commonwealth and IDC, we can also help out the member with. The next piece of the puzzle is government benefits. Again, I think everyone here on the call would agree that government benefits is a really critical piece of the puzzle when it comes to thinking about a retirement plan. But it's actually not something other providers have built into the enrollment flow. So something that's special about this is that we've really built it in as a planning tool within enrollment, and it's not hidden away on a separate site with some of the other providers. So again, based on my targeted year of retirement, the number of years I've been living in Canada since the age of 18, which again, I can change based on my personal situation, the platform is going to give me an estimated benefit for old age security and the Canada pension plan. And again, in the vein of having a built-in planning tool, the member can actually play around with this retirement age and see how it would affect the estimated benefit that they're expected to receive. And again, this can be a really eye-opening moment for plan sponsors and members alike to see how much the government benefits will help them out when it comes to saving for their retirement. Most of us have never seen this number broken down into a monthly amount, so it can be really helpful for members to see that and give them a little bit of peace of mind when it comes to looking at this kind of daunting task of $4,100. We still have a bit of a gap. So this is where the employer-sponsored plan comes into play. Again, in conversation with a plan sponsor, we can highlight to them how crucial their role is in helping their members save for retirement, helping members with their future self, thinking about their financial wellness. This is where the plan sponsor can really make a difference. And it's also where the actual employer-sponsored plan comes into play. So on this section, we're basically choosing the percentage match that we would like for this plan. This is just one of many possible scenarios. So this screen would be completely customized based on the plan design. We can incorporate basically any plan design with your clients. So this could be a percentage-based match like you're seeing on the screen here, or it could be a fixed dollar matching. Employers can also set up different plan designs for different groups. So commonly we're seeing a waiting period before new staff can access the employer match, or an employer match that increases as employee tenure increases. We're trying to encourage the member to maximize their employer's match. So you probably noticed by now that there's a lot of default recommendations built into the platform. We want to encourage members to take advantage of that full 5%. So we see most members selecting that option.
Just to jump in for a second, one thing that Vanessa and we can help you with, if you have a client who's interested, firstly, we're more than happy to show this to any sponsor or client who's asking about group retirement and you think would be powerful to show them what a plan could look like for their business. Pardon me. The other thing we can do relates to that plan design question, which is provide tools to put in your hands to help a plan sponsor answer what should their plan design be. What's common in their industry? Is it a 5% match? Is it 3%? We have some really great benchmarking tools that we can put in your hands. And one thing we'll also commonly do is help prepare a budget estimate, especially if it's a new plan for an employer who doesn't have one yet. We can provide an estimate of what the monthly or annual cost basis will be for this new benefit, which we find is often very helpful to get a plan sponsor, the head of HR or the CEO through a budgeting process or through a board process if they need to get a new plan approved.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're always happy to work with you and work with your clients to, like Connor said, walk them through a demo of the platform, share a proposal that gives them different options based on the plan designs they're thinking of. On this slide, once the employee has chosen the percentage match they'd like, we want to break it down into a dollar amount so they can see exactly what's coming off of their paycheck as their contribution and what the employer is kicking in from their side. And that way we can see that this member is saving a total of $268 off of every paycheck. If we scroll down, we can see that there's also a recommendation of how the member should split this contribution amongst the 3 account types that we're offering, which would be RRSP, TFSA, and DPSP. What's different about this is that all 3 of these accounts are set up at the same time. There's no separate process for each account like you might see with other providers. So the member is easily enrolling in 3 of these accounts through one enrollment flow.
And you don't have to have all 3, sorry, just to make that clear. So it's you can select an RSP plan only or RSP and TFSA. What we're showing you here in this demo account is an employer who's offering a DPSP. So their portion's going into that account, which is the deferred profit sharing plan for those who are familiar with that account type. And then the employee's matching contribution is going into, in this case, either RSP or TFSA. So we're actually able to give them a choice of which one they want to use. And as Nobahar was saying, we can also give them a nudge on which account might be most optimum. So one example where this shows up is if you talk to a retirement expert like Vanessa, she'll tell you that the TFSA is actually a more optimum account often for modest earners because it helps avoid income-tested benefit clawbacks in retirement. And so if you're a business with a large number of folks earning modest incomes who might be getting a lot of guaranteed income supplement in retirement, for example, it can be very powerful to help those folks use the TFSA. And you can educate them on that through the education session. There's lots of articles and resources on our website or on the IDC site. But one of the best ways to help people make those good decisions is just nudge them in the right direction, right at enrollment or in other places where they're accessing their plan, which is one thing that we can do here.
So at this point, we've actually answered that second question around how much I should be saving today to achieve this retirement goal of $4,100 per month. So we can see that we're very close to that target retirement income. A couple of things that the member can do here, if they're really keen on bridging that gap, they can actually increase their member contribution up here. And as we can see, it's increasing the contribution coming from the member while capping the employer's contribution at that 5%. And scrolling down, the member can see that they've now gotten even closer to that target retirement income goal. So maybe they want to stick to that 7%. The final step in building this comprehensive retirement plan is the grow element. So there's 2 key things we wanted to get right: diversification and managing risk over time. We wanted a streamlined investment lineup that would work for most, if not all, members. So if we scroll down, we can see working with BlackRock as our provider right now, we're using their suite of LifePath target date funds. So basically members have 10 options, and these choices differ quite a lot in terms of what's in the funds allocation wise. So there's something here for everyone. And members are automatically recommended a fund that most closely aligns with their targeted year of retirement. And we see majority of members sticking to this default recommendation. If we go up, for those who are unfamiliar with a target date fund, this slider can be really helpful in communicating with the plan sponsors and member what exactly is happening under the hood as time goes on. So right now I'm 35. I have quite a long time horizon before that retirement age. So we're more heavily invested in the stocks, which of course are representative of higher risk, but also higher growth. And as time goes on and we get closer and closer to retirement age, we can see that the allocation is automatically changing to be a little bit more conservative, going into bonds, which of course are a little bit more safe and stable as we get very close to retirement age.
I'll just jump in on this quickly as well, because it's an area where this is quite an important piece. And as Nobahar highlighted, the idea here is to have 9 or 10 portfolios, not a couple hundred. And that's on purpose and in line with the evidence on what works in group retirement plans. So this type of fund, many on the line might be familiar with it, especially if you've done group retirement before. Target date fund is considered the gold standard investment approach in group plans. If you saw that the CAPSA advisory committee guidelines, they actually point to this approach as being a favored one. And it really is because it helps plan members do those 2 things Nobahar mentioned, right? Diversify, everybody's getting that diversification, and everybody's getting that risk management over time that most, if not all, employees fail to do themselves, right? Which is move away from risk and growth and towards safety and stability as they get closer to retirement. So the power of these funds is they do that automatically. And the last thing I'll say on this is there's a lot we can share around the evidence for how this works. Sun Life, for example, has done a study every year since 2014 looking at the outperformance of members using target date funds versus those who don't. And they saw over a 1% gross outperformance for target date every year since 2014. And there was an even larger study from the US in the 401k space that looked at 401k plans and found a 2.3% per year outperformance for target date. So lots of evidence on the power of this approach, and we have things that we can put in your hands too if you want to share this with clients.
And with that, we are actually done the member enrollment process. So after signing off on the fund choice, the terms and agreements, what this member will now have access to is a member dashboard. So if we click view my dashboard, this is what it looks like. Connor mentioned the portability of the plan. So what you're seeing here is a dashboard that the member will keep access to job and into retirement, as well as keeping access to the low fees for life and the relationship with you as their advisor. So they stay in your book, job and into retirement. We also have a mobile app. So we see a lot of members logging in and checking their account balances from there. Maybe one thing I'll quickly highlight that members can easily do through their member dashboard is transferring in funds. So we saw that I had 40K outside of this plan when I was completing enrollment. If I want to add the RRSP or TFSA into this plan, I simply select this option, move a TFSA or RRSP from another institution. Again, completely digital process. Something that's really different about the transfer-in process at Commonwealth is that there isn't a lot of paperwork involved or admin work required from your end as the advisor. And this is also something that we would walk members through during the education session. And we're happy to work with them one-on-one as well to help them complete this process. They can transfer in a partial amount or the entire account. And with a digital signature, the funds are on their way. So we take it over from here, and within a couple of weeks, the member will see the funds appear in their account.
And I just saw that in the chat, Ryan asked what the MER is, what the fee is on those target date funds. That's where that 1.35% is becoming relevant, Ryan. So when Novahar says, a member might choose to transfer in to take advantage of this plan, that's one reason they might want to do that. If I have that $20,000 RSP with my bank, I'm probably paying a retail mutual fund fee of 2.3%, I think is still the average. And so if I want to move it into Commonwealth and I have that kind of base fee that we looked at, that MER is 1.35%. So significantly lower than retail or an SMB group plan with an insurance carrier.
There's a lot more that we could get into here, but maybe for the sake of time, one last thing I'll show is that the member can also easily connect their bank account to set up recurring contributions. We have an auto escalation feature that helps them gradually over time reach their retirement goal. So a lot more to show there, and we're happy to connect later to walk you through any more questions that you might have about the member experience. But at this point, you might be thinking, I love what I see. How do I get started working with IDC and Commonwealth to bring this to my clients? So I'm going to hand it back to Connor to walk everyone through exactly that.
I'll just mention also that there was another question earlier from Leonard. Do they have to be employee, or can a large group of contractors enroll in the system as well? And thank you, Connor. So we can support contractors as well.
Great question. Okay, so getting started. We want to make this easy for you as we've talked about, and make it streamlined and straightforward to get started with a client. So what we have with IDC, and Vanessa and our team work really closely together on this, is basically a 5-step sales process to get a client from interested through to implementation. And so here's roughly what that looks like. We can talk about some of the steps. One thing I'll say off the top is that this whole both sales and implementation cycle is fully supported by IDC Workplace Solutions in partnership with us. So if you have a client who's interested, or you want to get more clients interested, we can help with every step of the way here. So a typical kind of client flow, or from interest through to onboarding, typically starts with generating opportunities and qualifying them. This is an area where Vanessa especially can help you. And we also have assets and resources that we could put in your hands to help get more clients interested in group retirement. For example, what that can look like is sending a piece of collateral to highlight for a client some of the points Marni was making around how a retirement plan can be a great attraction and retention tool. So we have a number of great things like that we can put in your hands. We have a service around helping you do marketing, which we'll talk about in a second. Once you have a client who is interested, we find it's really helpful to do what we call a consultation and demo. So this is something that you can ask Vanessa to set up. We've done it with a few IDC folks so far, and it's worked very well. Basically, this means inviting a client to a 45-minute, maybe an hour if they're really keen, discussion where we learn a bit about what they're trying to do. We ask those good discovery questions, and then often we'll show them the platform in a, similar to what Nobahar showed you just now, which is a very quick way of answering questions, surfacing things the client might be uncertain about, and building their understanding of what a plan could look like, and getting them excited about it as well. Once that meeting is held, usually we're helping advisors prepare a proposal. And we talked about how, especially if it's a startup plan, we'll often provide help with that plan design and budgeting piece. If it's a transfer, so an existing plan moving from another carrier, we do lots of those as well. Typically, we won't need a plan design, obviously, because there's something already in place, but we're very able to assist moving plans over from existing carriers as well. Just want to highlight that too. If the client says, yes, the proposal looks great, let's move ahead, that's where we move into contracting. This we make very easy as well. It's all done by a digital signature. So we work up 2 agreements typically that your client will sign. Those are issued by a DocuSign. You are copied on them, so you see exactly when your client's signing, when things are executed. And then what brings us into that onboarding flow that I talked about before is once those contracts are signed, we have a kickoff call, which involves Vanessa, our teams, usually myself and Nobahar, and your client and you. And we hold your hand and hold their hand through that 1-month onboarding process to get started. So quite seamless, pretty easy to do. We've had an advisor just record a video talking about his experience that I think we can share after the fact in doing this for one of his clients. But again, our goal is to make it really streamlined and easy for you to do this. I mentioned help with the opportunity generation and prospecting. So again, this is an area where we have a lot of support. IDC has a ton here. Vanessa has a ton of expertise. One service we're able to offer is something we call marketing as a service. We just did this with an IDC advisor last week. And this is basically helping curate some of those assets for you. So we can have a short call with you. It'll involve us and Vanessa, and we'll walk you through some of those prospecting tools we have and just get a sense of where they might fit best in terms of where you are with your book, how you engage with clients. Do you want to do an email out to some of your benefits book if you have benefits clients, trying to surface some interest in group retirement or GRS. And if you want help with any of this, of course, the key first step is to contact Vanessa to get started. So with that note, we'll have a couple minutes for questions as well, which is fantastic. But we wanted to leave you with a call to action in terms of what's next. So if you're ready to get started, we've had folks already here and had a few implementations already. The first step is to get in touch with Vanessa at IDC Workplace Solutions. Her contact information is here in this green box. I believe we'll also provide this after the webinar in a follow-up email. And you can contact her to get support with setting up that client consultation, connecting with her for client-facing assets or prospecting resources, and leveraging our team as well in partnership with her. If you want to dig deeper, there's information on Win Big, the support site for IDC. And this is the first of a few webinars we'll be doing, and we'll have some upcoming ones that go a bit deeper into the platform, especially on the sponsor side. We didn't spend much time today showing you the sponsor portal and how they add members to this plan, or some of the detail on administration. Not every advisor wants to get into that, but some absolutely do, and we're very happy to do that. We'll have other webinars upcoming to talk about this, so stay tuned for those. And you may be seeing myself, Marni, Vanessa, and Nobahar again soon. And with that, maybe we'll open it up for questions or things that have come in the chat since we've been talking.
Yep, thanks, Connor. So there were a couple of questions just regarding minimums. So there are no minimums in terms of what the employer has to match. So plan sponsors can set up a voluntary plan. There is also no minimums on headcount. And it looks like we had another question come in from Ross. Mutual fund license required, question mark. So as Connor mentioned, there is not a requirement. That is not a requirement.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything for now in terms of question. Maybe some last minute questions might come in.
I just want to make a point that this webinar is being recorded and would be available in the next few days once it's gone through the buffering and editing stages. And it will also be posted on in the bulletins and on WIN Big as well. So if you're in a firm that has more than one person and you want to share this with some of your colleagues who might be doing working with you, would be really advantageous for them to watch as well.
Awesome.
That's
Looks
great.
like Leonard, I love this. Someone can call me. Yes, Leonard, we can call you.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one. And then we have another question here. If mutual fund license, does your MFDA dealer need to be notified, or do they receive a portion of commission similar to other referral agreements?
Yeah, so it's not technically a referral agreement. So I believe the answer to that would be no. You may want to get in touch with us specifically on that question for the attendee who's asking, but it's not technically a referral arrangement. So it doesn't trigger the same things that may apply in an MFDA dealer relationship. And I can provide a bit more detail there because sometimes folks who are MFDA licensed have additional questions here. So the reason the MFDA licensing is not engaged is to do with how these plans are registered. So essentially when a plan member enrolls, as you saw Nobahar demonstrate, members are essentially making the decision to purchase securities from a CAP compliant list of investment options through the portal. So technically the purchase of those securities by the member is not implicating you, the advisor, in assisting the what's called a furtherance of the trade, because they're making that decision themselves from a CAP compliant list of options. So as a result, there's no specific requirement for licensing like MFDA, and there's no engagement of that licensing either. And then in terms of that advisor compensation side, that's not kind of for referral. It's basically a compensation is paid to advisors for your services assisting with education, with administration, sponsor support. It's not technically commission or a referral fee in the same way you might be used to with that MFDA side. So hopefully that clarifies things a little bit for that person who asked that question.
I think that there was also one, Connor, do you want to look in the Q&A, one? I think there's a question there that popped up as well.
Yep, it's
yeah, I'm seeing one from James.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead,
perfect.
Vanessa.
No, I was just going to read it to you, but it looks like you have eyes already.
I have it up. Yeah, so for James is asking, can I offer this in Quebec with only an insurance license? So with only an insurance license, yes, absolutely. In terms of offering it in Quebec, we're not fully bilingual in terms of the platform. So we do have clients based in Quebec who have French employees. We're able to offer member service in French. So things like guided enrollments, education sessions, things of that nature. It's not a fully bilingual experience in terms of the platform itself. So I always like to give that proviso out to folks based in Quebec. This may not be the fit for 1,000 employee plan sponsor with primarily Francophone employees. However, we do work with a number of businesses that have an office in Quebec or have employees in Quebec where it's not typically an issue.
Okay, and I just saw a question. I'm not sure if it's already been addressed, but I'm just going to ask it anyway, which was, I assume you only offer target date funds. Is there any ability to add other funds?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is only target date funds today. And as we talked about, that's on purpose. It's a streamlined lineup deliberately designed to provide those 9 or 10 options in line with really where we see the industry heading, where regulators are heading as well. So today it's those 9 or 10 target date funds with the ability for the member to choose a different fund if they want to go more aggressive or more conservative in terms of their allocation. We will be adding a few more options this year beyond the straightforward 9 or 10 target date options. And we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One is we want to have something a bit more risk-free for members who say, have a really near-term financial goal, like buying a home next year. We have a lot of members doing that today, but we've had some feedback from advisors that they'd like something like a money market or GIC fund to help folks not be invested at all. So you'll see us add something like that in the coming months. And we are looking at adding a few building block options as well. Not because we believe that that's a better option for employees than that target date approach, but we do want to make transfers over from existing plans even easier. And so we'll be adding a few building block options to help with the mapping that members could access as well. But we really do emphasize that target date approach as being the evidence-driven, best one in terms of member outcomes.
So it looks like we do have a few more questions here. So Arthur asks, no minimum commitment for annual dollar amount of deposit. So Connor, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe no minimum commitment. So
yep, that's correct. And maybe that's a good point to talk about the kind of the target market for this. We're really primarily focused on the needs of SMB. So our typical plan size is anywhere from 15 or 20 to 500 or 700 headcount. That's generally where we do the most business and where the biggest gap is in the space. But to your question, Arthur, we don't have a minimum. So if you have a client with only 5 or 6 employees, you're free to work with us. We're happy to serve that client. And we know that can be important to you in terms of building a relationship, or the client may be growing. So there's no minimum in terms of headcount or cash flow.
yep, thanks, Connor. And Ron asked, can a member choose more than one fund? Nubahar, thanks for answering. Members choose one target date fund. However, they can change their fund choice at any time with no fees associated with this. And Sandra's asked, so once we approach a business owner, can we offer this to his employees as a standalone, meaning they don't have to have a group plan?
That's a good question. I mean, if I understand that correctly, Sandra, you're asking if the employer needs to sponsor it or have the arrangement. And this may relate a little bit to the contractor's question before. If the employer wants to offer matching and have dollars flowing into the plan through payroll, typically they are sponsoring the plan and they're doing that. We do have the ability to offer plans to folks who are not in that arrangement, like contractors. And in that case, the employer doesn't necessarily need to sponsor. They're part of your plan kind of independently, and we are able to support that as well.
I think the question could also be read a little bit differently, to which does the employer have to have a group benefits program in order to offer this or can this be a standalone? And the answer is that this can be a standalone.
Thanks, Marni. Yes, that is probably what was being asked, and that's absolutely correct. It can be a standalone.
Perfect. Do you see RESP or DHSP coming onto the platform in the future?
Yes, likely. Likely not in the near future, but we're certainly interested in adding things to the platform over time, and we get asked about those two specifically. So you'll likely see them things like that and more making their way onto the platform in the future.
Perfect. And Ron has a follow-up question. Can they have one fund in the RSP and another in the TFSA?
No. So the way we do it is we kind of treat the tax advantage saving room as one component of building up your plan, and then the fund you choose is another component, and it's the same fund across both TFSA and RSP when they make that selection.
Perfect. So Anonymous asks, will you roll out the new first-time homebuyers plan as well, since you just mentioned a short-term time frame and low-risk funds?
Yeah, we're certainly monitoring that with interest, and I know it's not yet live, and some details of that program are still being rolled out, but we're obviously paying close attention. We have a lot of folks who use the first-time homebuyers plan from their RSP today, so we're certainly monitoring that, and we'll evaluate it as we learn more.
Perfect. Can employer contributions be lower than 5%? And I believe that answer would be yes.
Yeah, great question. We showed that 5% as an illustrative number for the attendee who's asking, but your plan sponsors can set up really any type of matching program they want. It can be a flat dollar, it can be a percentage. Some employers even offer a voluntary plan, which we don't encourage because participation tends to be fairly low if there's no matching. But really anything that you want to put in place or that the plan sponsor has budget for, we can accommodate.
Sandra asks, what's the best marketing collateral to offer to businesses that you would recommend?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, I would encourage you to get in touch with us, Sandra. It depends on where the business is at in the buying cycle. So we've tried to really customize that. We work with, or you may have clients who are really at the top of the funnel, so to speak, and wondering, should I even offer a retirement plan? And so you might provide something to someone like that that really speaks to the evidence around how a retirement plan will help with attraction or retention or some of the goals they have. Whereas if you have a business that's looking to do one and just wants to know what the best options are, then a brochure that's more about Commonwealth and IDC might be more appropriate. We have all of the above, but we'd love to connect with you and hear, what type of client you have in mind, so we can customize that for you and help get you what's most useful.
Okay, just for the essence of time, if there are any lingering questions that might come up after the fact, an hour from now, something that you think about after the webinar is over, please do reach out to Vanessa. She'd be more than happy to facilitate that, or to answer those, or to set up one-on-ones with anybody on the line. But I think just to wrap up, I think we're going to say thank you so much to our friends at Commonwealth for this awesome webinar, and we hope everybody found it useful. We are going to be having some subsequent ones to follow, more of a deeper dive, so please look out for that in our personal communications and in our bulletins that IDC WIN sends out, as well as some ones that might be targeted specifically to the people online as well. So with that, I think, Connor, did you have any last minute things that you wanted to add? Nubahar or Vanessa?
Just to say thank you for having us, and we're excited to get started. We encourage you to get in touch and use this service to help build your business. That's really what it's about.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thanks, everybody. And thanks to our team here. And we look forward to our next webinar. And with that, I think we're going to let everybody get back to their day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, afternoon.